Hey Truth Seeker, welcome back. Zach here. Today's April 9th, 2016. This video is dedicated to everyone who is sick of being played as a fool by the mainstream media. What you see on the screen is a mainstream headline today. This is CNN's front page, a screen capture. All major news outlets had this as a top story today. The details about the man arrested in Belgium supposedly yesterday. This was yesterday's headline. Grainy image, Belgium police arrest this man who's connected to the Paris, France terror attack hoax of Friday, November 13th, 2015. So that was yesterday. Now today they say this man is also connected to the March 22nd, 2016 Brussels, Belgium terror attack at the metro station and airport. Where I want to begin is by examining this image. The image they give us today of his face is fairly clear. All white background, which is interesting, but the face is clear. They tell us he's this same man who'd been pictured in mainstream media for weeks. Look at this picture right here. You can make out some facial features here. Hat, black glasses, you can see the rims, black facial hair around the chin, black mustache. You can make out his jacket with the buttoned up collared shirt underneath, brown trim on the jacket. He's pushing a cart. He's supposed to be in an airport. You can see the divider lines for the ticket counter. You can see a person with black pants and white shoes pushing a cart. So this is the image today. This image is updated today. Until today, since March 22nd, up until today, the mainstream media had been putting out this image of the person. They'd been asking people to be on the lookout, saying this is a dangerous person connected to the Brussels, Belgium terror attack. Please notify authorities if you spot him. But I mean, just look at this picture. This is not distorted. This is the exact way the media's been putting it out for weeks. An incredibly blurry face. In this image, you can't make out that he's wearing glasses. You can't make out anything about his face. You can't even see his black facial hair above his lip. Now seeing the new image, we can tell that this darkened area down here is the facial hair around his chin. But an incredibly blurry image. We can tell it's the same because here's the person with the black pants, the white shoes, pushing a cart. We can make out the divider for the lines at the ticket counter, same glossy airport floor. We should ask ourselves, if the media was sincere in putting out this image, asking for people to look for the suspect, and they had this image all this time, why didn't they put this out, which is much clearer? This image, it could be anyone. It could be Shock G from the Digital Underground. It could be Gematria, who sung Virtual Insanity. It could be so many different people. When I first posted this image on my blog, it generated a humorous conversation about all the people this could potentially be. This is the mainstream media conditioning us to accept bullshit in their reporting. Facts that don't add up, that are illogical, such as blurry images in 2016, an era of high-def cameras everywhere. Almost everyone in their pocket right now has a high-def camera. In all of these stories, they keep giving us blurry images. And then today we get this update and they clear up the image a lot. But why? If you're new to my channel, I talk about numerology and gematria and how the mainstream media, the powers that be, those who control governments, who control media, and so much more, they use this language of numerology and gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words. And real quick, let me just give you an introduction on gematria in case you've never been here. This website, writingthebeast.com, they have a gematria calculator. I'm going to link it in the description for anyone who wants to use it. From this drop-down menu, if you choose English Ordinal, this adds up words based on their letter value according to the English alphabet. For example, English, E's the 5th letter, E's worth 5, N's the 14th, N's worth 14, G's the 7th, so on. Look at these words. English equals 74. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, equals 74. Alphabetic order with the reduction method, which is an interrelated method, sums to 74. Gematria based on the alphabetic order. And in this case, they all link up in our language using this Gematria system. It is the Freemasons who use Gematria. There's possibly other secret societies, but Gematria is a practice of the Freemasons. Masonic, as in Freemasonic, equals 74. Freemasonry is very much connected to Judaism throughout history. Jewish equals 74. If you look up the history of this nation, the United States of America, that has a 7-4 July 4th birthday, there's a lot of Masonic and Jewish influence at the beginning. Think about how this nation was created, the first nation to inherit English as its official language outside of the UK. The man credited with creating English, and this is a mystery in itself, but if you research, you will find this name, Robert Wilkinson, a music composer, believed to be one of the main creators of the English language and alphabet. Robert Wilkinson, the way he spells it, 74. And you might have also heard of the poet Robert Burns. Burns. He's buried under a Masonic temple. He is who's credited with spreading the popularity of English, Robert Burns. Burns, the name was 74 Gematria. So Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, our English language seems to very much be based on this language. And the mainstream media actively uses this language in headlines and in names of people in the story. So look at how they emphasize this. The headline is, "He's man in the hat," and then they emphasize man in the hat. Whenever they emphasize a phrase, there's relevant gematria. So check this out. Make this bigger. Man in the hat in simple English gematria sums to 113. This number 113 is a very special number and a number routinely coded into deceptive headlines. Man in the hat, 113. Mainstream equals 113. Think about this being mainstream media. The word dishonest equals 113, and the mainstream media is almost entirely dishonest. Green screen equals 113. We've been used in history, or we've been duped in history with the green screen. In the Jewish holy text, Bava Kama 113a says a Jew can use lies to circumvent a Gentile, which means a Jew can lie to someone who's not Jewish. And if you look up the media, who controls it? Overwhelmingly, it's Zionists, and the majority of those Zionists are Jewish. These are the people who have created our language, and they have coded numbers of significance that come from spiritual texts and more into the meanings of words. That's why they taunt us actively with headlines such as this: "He's man in the hat." Before today, nobody could ever make out who the man in the hat was. The man staring forward with the unrecognizable face. Now today, he's looking over his shoulder, a lot clearer, somewhat like this individual right here. Remember, we live in the age of computers and graphic technology and the ability to even make faces that look real that are not. Notice the post time in this article from CNN when they put it up, 747. They love their numbers, 74, 47, two of the most important. France itself has gematria of 47. This one coming out of Brussels, France's next door neighbor. There's also this image right here. You know, supposedly these two brothers blew themselves up in the attack, named the Bakhruki brothers. And supposedly he was with them, but his bomb didn't detonate. Now again today, they say this guy was also involved in the Paris attack. How convenient. And when they gave us the image of these Bakhruki brothers, look, similar, white background. White background like today's updated, clearer image. All white background. You know, where are pictures taken like that? If these men are in a jail, we should see the height markers right behind them. And saying that the bombers were brothers, it reminds us instantly of the propaganda out of the Boston Marathon bombing. The headline was, "Bombers were brothers, breaking news. Bombers were brothers in Gematria 113, the number they love to code again and again, and that they've coded several times into propaganda headlines around this story. Here's the images from after the Boston Marathon bombing. Said they were looking for two brothers. Boston Marathon bombing has Gematria of 93, just like propaganda. Perfect. Special numbers to these people. So yesterday we get this story. Terror arrest made in Belgium. This is the police supposedly catching a suspect. At this time, he was just thought to be connected to the Paris attack. Then they find out he's the same guy from the airport. That's today's update. Check this out. Terror arrests made in Belgium in Gematria sums to 147. And from the November 13th Paris attack until yesterday, the date of this news was a span of exactly 147 days, 21 weeks. It's the police who made the arrests. Notice police in Jewish Gematria equals to 147. And if you follow my channel, I show how often when police are involved in suspicious reporting, the officers' names themselves sum to 147. This is routine coding for propaganda involving the police. Remember, police has a Gematria of 33, so does Belgium. Belgium, a land of 33. France, the next door neighbor, land of the plus 33 dialing code. 33, the number of Masonic obsession. The phrase false flag has a Gematria of 33. If you choose English reduction, this is the Pythagorean Gematria method on here. False flag 33, a number that's routinely coded into major propaganda. Talk more about September 11th and 33 at the end of this. So they tell us the name of the man captured yesterday and today, who's said to be connected to both attacks. They say his name is Mohamed Abrini. They love to give us this name, Mohammed. It reinforces the propaganda against Islam, creating this false Islamic boogeyman in the minds of Western citizens who are exposed to this news. Mohamed Abrini, though, sums to 112. Remember, this is another number they love to code. This is the alt dialing code for 911. In Brussels, or in Belgium, excuse me, the emergency dialing code is 112. So, of course, this guy's name has the emergency dialing code connected. And all of this is supposed to be connected to Syria. Bashar al-Assad, the leader of Syria, his birthday is September 11th. 112, the alt dialing code for 911. Remember my work on Sandy Hook, the false flag shooting at the school, the hoax. Sandy Hook in Gematria equals 112. A lot of 112 coded into the story. They said Adam Lanza, the shooter, in his autopsy, weighed in at 112 pounds. They are mocking us, and they are mocking us in part through numbers. This man's name in Pythagorean Gematria sums to 67, a number connected to Freemasonry, another number that often gets coded. This story came yesterday, April 8th, a date with 48 numerology as well. Hoax, Hollywood, propaganda, Illuminati, all words with 48 Gematria. Remember, there's a small way and a big way. So real quick, I want to talk about this other significant connection between the Freemasons and the coding on the Friday the 13th attack in Paris and the Brussels, Belgium bombing on March 22nd. Keep in mind that the weekend after the Friday the 13th attack in Paris, Belgium went on lockdown. Lots of cities had military police roaming the streets, armored vehicles, international news headlines about the searches going on for these suspects. Anyway, that was Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th has Gematria of 223, a very special number connected to the Freemasons. The word Masonic also has this Gematria of 223. In simple English Gematria 74, and Jewish Gematria 223. All of these methods are interrelated. The Brussels, Belgium attack was on March 22nd, which is written 22/3 in that part of the world. Notice that the synagogue of Satan in Gematria equals 223. This is the name given to the false Jews who will rule in the end times, which in this world are the Zionist Jews who control the media. The attack was on March 22nd. The main target hit was the Melbeek metro station on March 22nd at 223. The last time there was a terror attack in Brussels, Belgium, it was the 2011 Liege attack, which happened on the date December 13th, 2011. Make this bigger here for you. They blamed it on a 33-year-old, a number they love to use. Whole lot of 33 coded into this. But notice that attack came exactly 223 weeks before the March 22nd attack on the airport. An attack that also had 33 coded all over it and all these other Masonic numbers. Notice they say it happened in this region, the attack in 2011 in the Wallonia neighborhood. 33, just like Belgium, just like his age. They said the attack happened at 12:33, the 33rd minute. 12 has a numerology of 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. With regards to 33 in the most recent Brussels airport attack, check this out. This is the emblem on the airport, right? And in the footage of the attack, this shot was shown of the sliding doors at the airport. It's the emblem at the airport, which looks a lot like a 3. Two of them next to each other. It looks just like 33. And what's extra creepy is in the Paris attack at the Bataclan Theater, a week after the fact, they put out this image of supposedly the dead people that were murdered there. And from the very beginning, a lot of us said, okay, this image looks completely fake. It looks like they smeared the floor with some symbol, had people lay down, and took a photo. You know, you don't see any bullet holes in anything. Just a very suspicious photo, the way the blood is on the floor. Something definitely wrong. Well, after the attack, it was pointed out to me that the symbol in the floor looks a lot like the symbol on the airport door. And this comes as no surprise. It was the Bataclan Theater where this occurred. Bataclan Theater in Gematria sums to 131. And the attack on the airport came a total span of 131 days later. You know? They said that 130 people died total in the Paris attack, and if you don't count the end date, from November 13th to March 22nd is also a span of 130 days. Brussels International Airport, as the airport's known, also has this gematria of 130. So this is what I mean when I say that the powers that be, they're laughing at us. They're coding sick jokes into propaganda that link to the next story, and they're plotting out these stories by the days. They're counting. They're cluing details that say when the next major attack hoax will occur. Right now I have a prediction from doing this work for May 23rd. I will link that video in the description. Anyhow, in this story, this propaganda, one of the most laughable details was that there was a Mormon missionary at the airport who was injured in the attack. They said he was also at the Paris attack and also at the Boston Marathon bombing. They said his name was Mason Wells. Think about Mason in light of Freemason. I already have a video on Mason Wells, but the one point I want to get in here is where he's from. He's from Sandy, Utah. Can you guess the gematria of Sandy, Utah? Sandy, Utah in simple English gematria sums to 113. And here, let me just punch it in on the calculator for anyone who doesn't trust my math. Sandy, Utah, 113. Mainstream. Dishonest. Perjury. green screen. Bava Kama 113A, it's okay to lie to non-Jews. So this is what's going on in the world, Truth Seeker. Truly being lied to by the numbers, being given laughable details. I mean, just ask yourself, what are the odds of someone being at all three attacks and nearly being injured or injured in all of them? And this one, he's supposedly so bad they had his face all bandaged up. I have a video on that already. It's just comical. In the reporting on Mason Wells, they also point out that Dikembe Mutombo was there to witness the attack. I want to talk about Dikembe Mutombo for a second. Dikembe Mutombo has Gematria 58 and 67 like Freemasonry, a number coded onto a lot of these athletes that seem to be bred to be what they were. Dikembe Mutombo is a 7-foot-tall man that played basketball for a lot of his life. Still very much connected to the NBA. A lot of Freemasonry coding in the world of sports on their athletes, and so often in these hoaxes, the athletes participate. At the Boston Marathon bombing, supposedly the linebacker for the Patriots was there and saved some of the victims. These people are selling us out, and they're all doing it for greed, power, money, all things wrong. Anyhow, with regards to basketball and unbelievable at the Brussels, Belgium attack, I don't know if you caught this story. Even ESPN did a special on this story. Supposedly, this former basketball player named Sebastian Bellin, was hit by the bomb at the airport and lost part of his hip. Brussels attack survivor. Part of my hip was missing. And they give us this image of him down on the ground. I mean, just ask yourself, if this guy's bleeding out and this is going on, nobody's helping him right now, but somebody took a picture of this, you know? You think that person's reaction would be to get down there and help them if they were truly in need, not stand over them and take a photo, while this person also seemingly stands over them. But look at this. The story is that his hip is blown off. Look here at his body. You can see that there's no blood anywhere on his jeans, but you can make out this little blood pool down by the bottom of his legs. This guy is telling us that his hip was blown off. Here's in his own words. The first thing I remember seeing, a part of my hip was missing, Bellin said. It looks like, you punched through something. And he's doing this interview just days after the attack. Supposedly this guy just got hit with a bomb, and here he is just days later telling his story to the media. And if you read the story, he's talking about how he's already proud that he survived, and this gives him a new strength in life. We've been hearing this again and again. Sandy Hook, Boston Marathon bombing, people who just lost loved ones, and they're already over it. They have all this strength, plus they have a GoFundMe page and a PayPal account that you can send their money to. So anyway, his name's Sebastian Bellin. I notice it has the gematria like Dikembe Mutombo. Also this Gematria 58 that stands out connected to Freemasonry. And as I pointed out in recent weeks, last year, around this same time, this year it was the March 22nd Brussels airport bombing. Last year, March 24th, it was the Germanwings crash in the Alps. And I was showing how that was a hoax, and I was showing the clues within that story were connected to the college basketball tournament also going on. And the clues in that story suggested the Duke Blue Devils would win the championship. Lo and behold, the Duke Blue Devils went on to win the championship. I have videos on how I made that prediction. You're welcome to go back and watch them. During this tournament, we got these stories as well as Amtrak train crashes, and I think they were all subtle cluing for who was to win this college basketball tournament. Of two of those train crashes, they were connected to Philadelphia. The college team from Philadelphia won. I don't see exactly what the Brussels, Belgium terror attack connection was to the tournament, but I see how they incorporated these basketball players as part of the narrative. So it makes me think there's a wrinkle there I'm not yet catching. They said this guy's wife's name was Sarah Bellin. Her name in Gematria is just like propaganda. It's just a joke, Truth Seeker. You know, here's the part of the story why he made it, why he survived this hip injury. It's just embarrassing. You know, these stories, they're laughing at us. Smut on this guy's face. It's a complete photo op. Fake spilled blood down here. Telling us he nearly lost a hip. He nearly lost his life. I don't know who's fallen for it. You know, it's embarrassing. So, also, just in regards to being a logical person, think about this. On March 21st, 2016, the day before the Brussels, Belgium bombing, the day before, we get this story. The FBI's dropping their case against Apple because they figured out how to crack the iPhone. You might recall that on March 22nd, Apple was supposed to go in court against the FBI about having to crack their own iPhone so the FBI can get important files off terrorists' phones. What's comical is that in history, the FBI was given its name on March 22nd. The case against the FBI was supposed to happen on March 22nd. They dropped the case the night before. On my blog, one of my more intelligent subscribers pointed out, right off the bat, this guy says it. He says with March 22nd tomorrow, they probably have a better story and they don't want it to overshadow this one. Well, he was right on the money because we got the Brussels, Belgium attack the next day. And here's what I want to say in regards to this. You know, this case was stemming from what took place in San Bernardino, December 2nd. Remember this story down here? Supposedly this Middle Eastern couple who were inspired by ISIS, who worked for the city department of San Bernardino, shot up their workplace holiday party. And that story only emerged 12 hours after the story had already been put out, that what happened in San Bernardino was 3 athletic white males shot up a retirement community and were at large, and there was a manhunt for them. That was the reporting for 12 hours on December 2nd. By day's end, they said, oh, never mind, it's 2 people. It's a man and a woman. They are a married couple. They're Middle Eastern, and they killed their workplace party. The people at it. Major twist of story. 3 athletic white males to 2 Middle Eastern people. And also from a retirement community to a workplace. So these are the patterns in the mainstream media that just make me wonder how anybody can possibly trust anything they're reporting. You know, how can everybody get on the wrong page that's that far off? And this is just routine. Recall after the Sandy Hook shooting, the news was showing footage of men in camouflage running out the back of the school into the woods. And they said those were the suspects. Then by day's end, it was one boy, he was 112 pounds. So anyway, this is supposed to be the man who helped with the shooting, and this is him and his wife at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Notice what's wrong with these photos. Super pixelated. And we're told that these people had iPhones. You know, a lot of people have iPhones. I don't support Apple products. I don't want to explain why I have an iPhone. It was more to appease the women in my life, my mother and my girlfriend. But anyway, a lot of people have Apple phones. No one in the history of having an iPhone has ever taken a picture this bad. These are high-def cameras. They take clear images. You'd think that these Apple iPhone owners would have a photo out there somewhere that the mainstream media could get and put before people's eyes instead of these highly pixelated images that look like they were taken in the 90s. This stuff is a joke. There never was to be a real case between the Apple and FBI. This nation we live in, it is ruled over by tyrants. Tyrants who deceive the masses. Tyrants who create unnecessary arguments, blinding people from what's really going on. If you've followed news headlines for the past decade plus, you've seen stories about how people are going from Wall Street to the CIA and back and forth in high positions. It's obvious that there's a major link between Wall Street and the government. A lot of these major corporations that rule over us, that charge way too much for their products, Microsoft, Apple, and more, These are truly government institutions masquerading as private entities. And these people who go before us, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they're fronts for these government entities. Entities that use taxpayer dollars to build devices and then charge extreme prices back to the same public that financed the research in the first place with their tax dollars. Not to mention, all of this is irrelevant. Back in 2008, when Obama was running for president, the main issue in the mainstream media for months was this vote in Congress for immunity for the telecommunication companies that were illegally spying on and collecting their customers' data, doing it to the nation at once, sucking up everybody's data, storing it on massive hard drives. This was illegal. This was a violation of our rights as citizens. And our Congress was voting to give immunity to these companies for doing this, using excuses such as it being the post 9/11 era, where we need to be kept safe from Islamic terrorists. We need to give up our liberties to protect our freedoms. Very transparent deception, very obvious agenda. Anyhow, at that time, Obama was running for president, and he was saying the right things on the campaign trail. He was saying that these companies can't get immunity, what they've done is illegal. But when it came time to vote, how did Obama vote? He voted for immunity for the telecom companies along with the majority of our congressional representatives, and that became the law, that all of these people were dismissed from being held accountable. And now we live in a nation where they routinely spy on us day after day, collect our information, and they're protected. So to be having this conversation in 2016, 8 years later, it's beside the point. It's irrelevant. It's a moot point. We live in a police state. This is how the police state is maintained, with lies and propaganda. Propaganda that's so transparent, the powers that be, they have to be replacing their stomach lining with the way they're laughing at us. It is pathetic. Let me take you back to the San Bernardino shooting. San Bernardino, the city, was established on August 10th, the 222nd day of the year. Here's the city stats. August 10th, 1869. August 10th, the 222nd day. 223rd in leap years. This year is a leap year. Its birthday will be on the 223rd day this year. Number we were talking about. So anyhow, from August 10th to December 2nd, the date of the supposed terror hoax blamed on ISIS, was a span of 114 days, or 3 months and 22 days, 322. Look at San Bernardino, California. In simple English Gematria, it equals 222. In Pythagorean Gematria, it equals 114. City established on the 222nd day, has it coded into the name, and the attack comes 114 days after its birthday. And why is this significant? Because the Paris terror attack, which happened not long before this, November 13th, was said to have lasted 222 minutes. 222, check this out. The band that was playing at the Bataclan Theater, the Eagles of Death Metal, on their albums, they often put the abbreviation EODM for Eagles of Death Metal. In English Gematria, that abbreviation sums to 222. Again, the attack in Paris, France, supposedly lasted 222 minutes. It's interesting to note that the monument there, the Eiffel Tower, a giant radio tower, the word radio has Gematria 47, just like France. Anyhow, that tower is named after Alexandre Gustave Eiffel, a Mason himself, who has named Gematria of 222, and the small way 96, just like the word Freemason. I suspect this 222-minute tribute was at least in part to Mr. Eiffel. Back here to the EODM. Notice in Jewish Gematria that abbreviation equals 89. They said that 89 people died in the Bataclan Theater. How fitting. Now check this out. This band, they have this song called Secret Plans that runs 2 minutes and 22 seconds in length. The lyrics are mysterious. You almost wonder if this was a coding by the record executives who own this band for their future secret plans that transpired while they were singing their song, Kiss the Devil. The attack happened while they were playing Kiss the Devil. Look at this. That song is the 11th track on the album. The 13th song is San Bernardino Sunburn. Think about how this attack was on 11/13, 13/11, depending on where you are in the world, Friday, November 13th. The next attack blamed on ISIS in the world is what happened in San Bernardino, which this 13th song is about. It's about San Bernardino. The album is called Peace, Love, Death Metal, which has Gematria of 74 like Masonic. Again, our Gematria for Masonic. Notice the length of the album, 44 minutes, 40 seconds. Remember, the powers that be, the Masons, the Zionists, they control media, they control government, they control music studios, Hollywood, and more. Sports leagues. They leave their clues for their future plans everywhere. It's like a big ongoing joke to them. The longest running joke in history. Jesse Hughes, the frontman for the band, came out in March and said that the police, the security there, were in on the shooting. He said that 8 didn't show up for their shift, which was weird. And when the attack happened, he thought he saw the police doing the shooting. He quickly took back his remarks and said he was crazy, he was out of line. In regards to the San Bernardino shooting, which seems to be connected through the band, through these false flags throughout the world blamed on ISIS, one of the headlines that made me laugh was this one: SWAT doctor beat team to shooting. You know, the doctor was there before the rest of his police buddies. Look at the Gematria on the headline, Truth Seeker. 113. What do you know? The mainstream media always coding routine Gematria that has to do with propaganda. Here's a non-related story, but it's just more fear-mongering in the media. Blurry image, supposedly a serial killer on the loose. You read the story, his name is Bradley William Stone, a name with 93 Gematria, just like propaganda. Blurry image, just like we see in the rest of this made-for-TV, made-for-magazine, made-for-paper news. News that doesn't add up, news that's full of grainy images and illogical stories. So let's make a little transition. We've been decoding the news. Let's talk about the word insane. A lot of us who speak out, we are labeled as crazy, insane, mentally ill, just for questioning these mainstream narratives that are crammed down our throat. Let's read the definition of insane. In a state of mind that prevents normal perception, behavior, or social interaction, seriously mentally ill. So here's my perspective on that definition. You know, we as a people should be able to talk about the information presented to us, and we should be able to question that information without being labeled as insane. But let's read the definition again real quick. In a state of mind that prevents normal perception, behavior, or social interaction. So what I know from experience is that if I speak calmly to somebody about what's wrong with one of these news stories, September 11th, the Boston Marathon bombing, Sandy Hook, San Bernardino, Brussels, Belgium, Paris, France. If I speak calmly and explain what's wrong with the story, so many people I know will immediately get worked up, angry, red in the face, and go right to name calling. Conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat, crazy. You know? Now read that definition. Does that sound like normal behavior, normal social interaction? In a state of mind that prevents normal perception? To me, it seems that people who just blindly believe these news stories are truly the definition of insane. Because these stories are always illogical, never well supported, and full of details that don't make any sense, such as grainy, blurry images in 2016, one Mormon missionary being in 3 terrorist locations, living to tell about it. We really need to have a conversation as a nation about what insane is and who is truly insane. Because, people like us who are trying to do what's right, trying to bring awareness about this wrongdoing, we don't deserve to be labeled as crazy and insane. We are sane. We are seeing things in an honest way. We're trying to have a real conversation. And all our naysayers can do is call names and accuse us of being what they truly are in the definition of the word. Let's look at this other definition. Insane, of an action or quality characterized or caused by madness, in a state of extreme annoyance or distraction. Now, those later definitions are interesting. Anyone who is awake in this world is going to be annoyed by the dishonesty that is waged against them and the fact that their fellow man chooses to ignore truth. So, in this sort of definition, maybe you could even start to truly label me as insane, because I could honestly say, yeah, I am annoyed at the state of affairs and the fact that I live in a world where this kind of propaganda passes and people are carefree about it, watching the nation be taken down this horrible path, a path that serves no one's best interests. But as we all know, that's not what insane is. It's human to become annoyed by wrongdoing. So for the definition of insane to go into that area, that's a real gray area. That's what's wrong with words and definitions and labels so often. But with regards to madness, being mad and madness, they're a different thing. But all of us in the truth community, if you will, we have a right to be mad. There's a lot to be mad about. I want to close out by watching 2 scenes from a very important movie. This movie came out in 1976. It's called Network. It's about a made-up cable company, supposed to be like ABC or NBC or CBS. And the news anchor, he becomes so fed up that he has a meltdown on TV. We're about to watch this meltdown. After we watch the meltdown, I'll tell you what happens next in the movie, and then we'll watch another important scene. So let me make sure the volume's up. Turn up your speakers if you want to hear it nice and loud. Here we go.
Q Howard. I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window open it and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I want you to get up right now. Get up, go to your windows, open them, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Things have got to change.
How many stations does this go
You've
out
got to
by?
get mad.
67.
You've got to say,
I know it goes to Louisville and Atlanta.
We're not going to take this anymore. Then we'll figure out what to do about the depression and the inflation and the oil crisis. But first, get up out of your chairs, open the window, stick your head out and yell, and say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
All right, Truth Seeker. So that movie's 1976, 40 years ago. And if you've never seen that film, what it's about is that man, he gets the notice that he's going to be laid off. And he's been this on-air news anchor for a very long period of time. And he's so frustrated that he goes out and he does this rant on TV. It's supposed to be his last day on the air. Anyhow, because he does this rant, the network gets a massive rating, unprecedented. And that woman you saw in the scene, who was smiling and grinning throughout, she's supposed to be the new studio executive, and she has this vision of making the news more interesting and entertaining. And she wants to introduce terrorism and have news anchors that go alongside bank robbers and give people an account of what's going on in the world as never before seen. So anyhow, there's this clash of ideas going on with the network. They're getting rid of the old faces, this old man who then goes on this rant and saves his job there. Anyhow, they begin to produce his show. He's seen as this prophet of the times, ranting about what's wrong in the world, and he starts to have a real impact on the populace of the nation. If we went on to watch that scene, a lot of people start yelling out their window that they're mad as hell all throughout a city skyline. Anyhow, because he has a real impact on the people, this scene comes later in the movie. This is one of the most important movie scenes ever. This is the truth of our world explained in less than 5 minutes. Check this out.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it. Is that clear? You think you merely stopped a business deal? That is not the case. The Arabs have taken billions of dollars out of this country, and now they must put it back. It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance. You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rims, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale? You get up on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon.
Those are the nations of the world today. What do you think the Russians talk about in their councils of state? Karl Marx? They get out their linear programming charts, statistical decision theories, Minimax solutions, and compute the price-cost probabilities of their transactions and investments, just like we do. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Beale. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business, Mr. Beale. It has been since man crawled out of the slime. And our children will live, Mr. Beale, to see that perfect world in which there's no war or famine, oppression or brutality. One vast and ecumenical holding company for whom all men work to serve a common profit, in which all men will hold a share of stock, all necessities provided, all anxieties tranquilized, all boredom amused. And I have chosen you, Mr. Beale, to preach this evangel.
Why me?
Because you're on television, dummy. 60 million people watch you every night of the week, Monday through Friday.
I have seen the face of God.
You just might be right, Mr. Beale.
Did you hear the way the dialogue ended in that scene, Truth Seeker? The news anchor looking up at the man lecturing him, and he says, I have seen the face of God. And then the man lecturing, showing right here, responds, yes, you very well might have. This man is supposed to be playing someone such as a Rockefeller, someone from a family that has great financial power in this world. And again, this lecture is about the news anchor being told that he needs to stop telling the truth because the truth is interfering with what's important in this world. And as the man explained, it's not a world of nations. It's not about people. It's about corporations and profit and return on investment. This movie's from 1976. Here we are in 2016, 40 years later. And nothing's changed. This is the system, the machine that has been built around us, and it's the machine that we're all victim to. As the man explained, it's not about honesty, it's about doing the things that make the wheels of the engine spin. That's why we get news stories such as this. Bogus propaganda that's meant to continue the people of this world on the path of warmongering, banker, tyrant agenda. Why? Because that's a profitable agenda. If you're not paying attention, all sorts of ways do corporations exploit war. One of my favorite stories in the post 9/11 era, where the United States has been continually involved in war, is when Congress was debating whether we needed to keep giving taxpayer dollars to Coca-Cola so that they could deliver their sodas to the troops at the rate of $20 per six-pack. And no, I'm not making this up. That's a real news story. That's a real discussion that has been going on within this nation. And it's just one of a million examples of how profits are generated in a big way during wartime. You know, we're talking about sugar water being sold for $20 a six-pack to troops who are stationed across the ocean in a foreign land that they don't need to be in, all for the sake of dollars and corporations and money. This is the way the system works for the powers that be, and we the people need to recognize that this system, while it might work for them, and they might be able to keep this house of cards afloat, it's not good for the well-being of humanity. It's not good for this earth. We're digging ourselves a hole day by day. And for those who still haven't figured out the grand manipulations on September 11th, what this agenda is all part of, we're going to close out by watching the first 10 minutes of September Clues. This is a great documentary that came out in the mid-2000s showing just how bad we were manipulated on September 11th and how it was done. I'm going to link this documentary in the description. We're just going to watch the first 10 minutes. That's enough to watch, and then we'll wrap up this video. Keep in mind, September 11th, the official story. We were told that the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, one of our allies. As a response, we went to war with Afghanistan and Iraq. These stories, they never make sense. We are just given details and played for fools time and time again. And the day needs to come where we recognize this and stop the madness. Let's close out with 10 minutes of this documentary. Thank you for watching. Hope you're enjoying.
Winston, can you see? Are you on the north side there where the plane made contact?
Yes, I am.
There where the plane made contact?
But I'd say the hold is, let me just get a better look right now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd say the hold takes about, looks about 6, 7 floors were taken out. And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running.
Winston, hold on just a moment. We've got an explosion inside.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you what's going on.
Okay, just put Winston on pause there for just a moment.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you what's going on.
Okay, just put Winston on pause there for just a moment.
I understand Teresa Renault is with us right now. Miss Renault, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
This is Bryant Gumbel. I'm down on 59th and 5th. Where are you?
I am in Chelsea, and we are at 8th and 16th. We are the tallest building in the area, and my window faces south, so it looks directly onto the World Trade Center. And I would say, approximately 10 minutes ago, there was a major explosion from probably, it looks like about the 80th floor. It looks like it's affected probably 4 to 8 floors. Major flames are coming out of the north side and also the east side of the building, yes.
You're over in Chelsea. Did you hear the explosion from
yes.
your position?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window, I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Right? Oh my gosh! Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion.
As you look at
the picture from our chopper now arriving at the scene. Jim Friedel in Hoboken said it appeared to bank sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposefully, into, oh my goodness,
Oh, God.
there's another one. Oh my goodness, there's another one.
Seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness, now it's obvious, I think, that there's a second plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. I think we have a terrorist act of proportions that we cannot begin to imagine at this juncture.
Oh, my God.
My goodness. A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center. Obviously, suicide, terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. Oh my goodness.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness. And then as we were watching the live picture here in the studio, we saw a plane crash into the other tower of the World Trade Center. And again, let's just to be sure, there it is. There it is. The plane went right through the other tower of the World Trade Center.
That is a very hard thing to watch.
Just to be sure, there it is. There it is. The plane went right through the other tower of the World Trade Center.
That is a very hard thing to watch.
To be sure, there it is. There it is. The plane went right through.
And you have to wonder, you hear about number 7 in trouble right now. And then what does that lead to?
All right, so there it was, Truth Seeker. You just heard the commentary at the end, and now we hear World Trade Center 7 having trouble. And it would fall down with no explanation for it. That's the building that was 47 floors tall, 47,000 square feet each floor. Remember, New York City and the World Trade Center's on the 74th meridian, numbers we talked about at the beginning. France equals 47, radio equals 47, France's monument, the giant radio tower, the Eiffel Tower. The powers that be, they do not respect the masses. And they deceive us every day for the purpose of agenda. And their stories are always just as what was presented in this video. Nonsensical, full of lies, half-truths, and details that don't make sense, such as grainy images in the age of high-def cameras, such as planes that melt into buildings. How did the planes at the World Trade Centers melt into the buildings without the wings crumbling and falling to the street? The answer is what we just saw. That's how bad the duping was. Fake planes, CGI, computer animation, grand deception. People need to wake up. They need to recognize the lies upon them. They need to recognize the agendas were real, and it is a threat to humanity. If we don't come off this path, there will eventually be very severe consequences, much worse than what we're realizing now. So for everyone who sees that something's wrong in the world, this is your time to help spread the word to those who don't know yet. Until next time.